this company has been halted since May 2022, which was actually good fortune because the market went sideways in April 2022 after the Fed started raising rates. So you'd say the company dodged a bullet. And in the meantime, they acquired an asset, developed it, and I don't know, based on what I've seen just now, seems like it's running again. So big news here. And I'm joined by the executive management team. I'm joined by Alex Langer and Greg Liller of Sierra Madre Gold and Silver. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Guy. Happy to chat.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to this conversation. As I said, this company has been halted since May 2022, based on an acquisition you were doing, and you're acquiring the La Guitarra project from First Majestic Silver. And why don't we start with the halt? What led to the halt, and why was it so long?
Yeah, that's a fair question. First off, the acquisition was deemed such a material transaction by the TSX, is that in essence, we had to do an IPO almost all over again. We were cognizant of being halted that long. We knew it was going to be, a bit of an issue, but the opportunity to acquire La Guitarra was just so meaningful and really kind of put the company at the forefront now for being kind of the next mid-tier silver producer that we couldn't say no to the opportunity. So it's taken a while. You can imagine if you want to do an IPO today, it's going to take you 10, 11 months from starting. And in essence, that's kind of the process. So everything went well. We had submitted everything kind of early July, to be honest, a couple months after. And I just going through the whole process in terms of regulators. Everything was going well. And then kind of at the end of it, in November, we were expecting to start trading again. The Mexican antitrust, the federal government of Mexico asked us to do antitrust approval, which is a relatively straightforward process, but of course takes some time. So we obviously want to be on the right side with everybody in Mexico, and they asked it kind of as a favor. It wasn't a need to do, I would say, but more of a please do, and absolutely. So we went through that process, and we were fortunate enough to get approval last week, which is great, which means we're going to be trading here very, very shortly. In the next couple of days.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And run me a bit through the terms of the transaction with First Majestic. Let's start there, I guess, before we talk about the asset itself. Because when the halt is so long and when you are halted like that, it sounds like there's a major change in ownership and things like that happening, right?
Yeah, in essence, an RTO transaction, so a reverse takeover. So we are issuing more shares than we're currently issued on Sierra Madre. So hence the large transaction. We are paying $35 million for the asset, and that's all in shares. It's a pretty fair price, I would say, for us. We were absolutely thrilled to be able to acquire it and operate the mine. First Majestic really believes in our management team and what we can do, and they will become our largest shareholder. Post-transaction, they're going to own 47.7% of Sierra Madre. Obviously, it's going to be quite significant. They will be dividending out those shares down to 19.9% to the current shareholders. So for us, it's really quite exciting. We're going to be going from having 700-800 shareholders to whatever it is, 10,000, 14,000 shareholders relatively quickly over the next few months. So they have their shareholders are the who's who of silver investors, US-based, some of the big funds. So we'll be able to market to those people and have them join our registry, which is quite exciting. There's no cash associated with the purchase of the mine, which is quite amazing. And our management team has a deep and rich history with La Guitarra. So there was a few things that worked on our side to be able to acquire it.
No, that's really, really interesting. We need to talk about news flow and catalysts to keep those shareholders actually on board as well. So we'll probably get to that. Let's talk about news flow later on. But Greg, we've met, I want to say, a decade ago. Okay, on a different project. I think it's pretty much a decade ago, to be quite honest. We've been on a site visit together, and now you're involved with La Guitarra. And I know you've got some history with the project. Can you run us through that? And why are you again involved with the project? What brought you back?
Well, back in 2006, I was in my first retirement at that point, and I was asked to go down to La Guitarra by a company called Genco. They were looking for somebody to run the company, and I just went down on a lark. And after about a day on the project, I realized this thing is huge. It's one of the bigger historic districts in Mexico. At one time, it was one of the largest silver producers for the Spanish crown. But it never really had gotten a good exploration look at it. And so with Genco, we undertook a very large drilling program 300 and some odd drill holes, 380 drill holes, I believe, or 400. Anyway, we definitely demonstrated the size potential of the project. Unfortunately, there was a hostile proxy battle and some board issues, and I lost control of the company. It eventually was sold at a steep discount to the share price when I left, to a company called Silvermex. It was actually a merger. And Silvermex in turn was acquired by First Majestic. And all of that was based on the work that myself and our director of exploration, Luis Saenz, did there. So, yeah, every day for the last 15 or so years, it's crossed my mind, how the hell can I get this thing back? And now I finally have. So,
Interesting. Like, Alex, maybe quickly as well, is like, why did First Majestic let the asset go? And that's probably pure speculation on your part, but really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so the mine is on care and maintenance. So I think that's one thing to be aware of. They put on care and maintenance in 2018 in the summertime. It was still profitable, barely at the time. Obviously, silver price was much less, but they had just acquired Sunday Mass, which is just an incredible producer that's producing kind of 1.5 million ounces a month, where this was producing that annually. So that was part of it. Bit of, I guess, just sitting on their books and costing them money. And it really was just kind of the perfect marriage where they see they could still get a lot of value out of the mine by having such a large stake in us and believing in the management team to kind of push it forward. So I think it was a combination of a few things where it was sitting there. They weren't getting any value for it, obviously, just because they're such a large producer. I think they're at 34 million ounces of silver production annually on a fully basis. So 1 million ounces a year really won't move the needle, I would think, for them, but having a share in us lets them get some value from it.
Like, have they made any announcement or like announcements in conversation, like how they're supporting the company going forward? Or you said they're going to, dividend out, what is that math in my head? Like 28% of the shares to their existing shareholders, right? To go down to 19.9, or like, do they have a ROFR on the asset? I'm just trying to figure out what the relationship with First Majestic will be moving forward.
Yeah, they're going to be our largest shareholder. They've been incredibly supportive. Like, they have done such an amazing job over the last few years in terms of just community relations and keeping the mine and everything up to site. We're actually taking on all of their employees, which is great. It's over 20 people. So we're bringing them all on, and this handoff has been incredibly smooth. They are so supportive. Any conferences, anything we need, they'll be there for us. They have incredible depth in terms of production. So anything we need to lean on, they're going to be there. So that was also really attractive for us, is to have a relationship with First Majestic.
Absolutely, no, that's fantastic, having that knowledge as well. And Greg, what's already on site? It's on care and maintenance. Like, what does it look like on site? And I think we prepared a little video here as well to see what it looks like.
You can see the mill. They fired up all the electric motors. So all the conveyor belts, the flotation cells, turned the ball mills over. So essentially, that's all in really good shape. We're also looking at maybe replumbing the existing flotation circuit. It's now set up with 2 different flotation banks, and they run in series. But if we run them in parallel in a rougher scavenger type setup, we might be able to reduce the amount of concentrate produced tonnage wise, but still retain the same amount of metal, which will significantly reduce ongoing costs. You got your transportation costs for the cons to the smelter, and then the refining costs are all based on a tonnage thing. So we're looking to get a cost savings there. The other thing, somewhere along the line, the idea that there was bulk tonnage at Guitarra got lost. I'd initially planned, and we took it through a feasibility study with Genco for 4 open pits. That is no longer really doable socially. However, after when we started with the work on this transaction, I was looking at the hearts of these 4 open pits, and the configuration is pretty cohesive. So we're going to be looking at bulk underground mining, the core, the high grade portion of those pits. So we're in the process of getting all the data scrubbed and squeaky clean. Then we're going to move into a resource study, and I hope to have that out in about 6 months. There are 1,400 drill holes here, 1,400 some odd drill holes. So the database is quite large, and you got to get that up to passing the third-party review. And then we're going to develop models around these bulk tonnage targets. I've already started my own work on that, and it's looking really good. But then, most importantly, I spent a month on site at the beginning of this year, and it came to light that a lot of the equipment that we have in what I call the boneyard is not junk. It's actually repairable. And we've got, it looks like 4 scoops. We got 2 active now. We can repair 2 more. There's 2 jumbo drills there that you need for driving underground drift. Those are easily repairable. So essentially, we got the mining fleet that we need to get started is there. And this needs to be rehabbed. And that was one of our big concerns when we started this, was the lead time for new mining equipment is like 2 years from the time you order it. So we talked about our production scenario being 2 years out, when no, because of the equipment we have there now, and we'll get them rehabbed, we can get started much sooner. I mean, that's maybe cut that time frame down in half. So we'll be shooting to get this resource estimate out, and from there we'll develop a mine plan and probably publish I don't know if we need a feasibility study, because everything's already built. The underground workings are already there, the development's all there, the mill's all there. So really what we need is a mine plan that we can put some economics to, and then we'll restart it. So it's there'll be a lot of news flow coming out in the meantime.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, in all the 1,400 drill holes, you have the collars, the core, all that is available and still usable in a 43-101 environment?
Everything.
Yeah.
It's already had multiple 43-101 studies done on it. There was the one I did with Genco. We've got that whole database. First Majestic did a real formal one in 2015. But they've updated it on their reserve pages to 43-101 standards. So no, it's all there. We did find some missing drill holes that Luis and I, our director of exploration, we had in our own databases. Those have all been incorporated back in. We've also started work in the Eastern District. The Western District is host to the Guitarra mine and the Colosso mine, and that's where the plant is. And remember, this is a almost 40,000 hectare property. In the eastern portion of the property, there's maybe 40 drill holes that Luis and I put in there with Genco. And it's also the most productive historically. So we'll be undertaking a modern exploration program over there. I've already moved our entire geologic staff from Sierra Madre's other projects over to Guitarra, and we started mapping the west or eastern district in detail starting in January. And I think we don't even have half of it done now. And we've already mapped out over 25 kilometers of mineralized structure over there. The Rincon mine was the last one that was commercially operated, and that was from about 1910 to 1937, I believe it was. And it was 100 ton a day, but they were producing ore that was running about 6.6 grams gold and I believe 860 grams silver. So that's the prize that we're looking for over there. So I think there'll be a lot of excitement that can come out of our work over there too.
Yeah, no, sounds very juicy there, Greg.
Yes.
Coming out of the gate now, once you start trading officially, like, what are the plans? Meaning, also, what are the budgets moving forward? You raised $10 million while you were halted. Alex, maybe you can run us a bit through the the budgets and the immediate plans there. Oh, I lost your audio there,
Sorry,
Alex.
I was
Oh,
muted
there.
there. Apologies. Yeah. So obviously we had quite a bit of budget for equipment moving forward, but now that's actually dropped the budget quite a bit. We have about 3 million Canadian in exploration in that eastern portion of the project where Greg had just mentioned, which I think will be quite exciting. We're going to upgrade the mill, obviously. I think that's an important part. We want to be able to jump into production when we deem that's the right time. So we're going to have everything running and tickety-boo. So if all goes well, this funding will last us a couple of years and could very well last us until we do some sort of small scale production. We're not promising that right away, but if all goes well, we are well capitalized.
Absolutely. Okay, no, sounds fantastic. Very, really interesting. Like, and what's the resource space on the project? I know you want to update it, but what was sort of what's left over? What did First Majestic leave you with? Greg.
Greg's halted. So the last resource that came out then at 43.1, which is now historic, was 17.7 million ounces of silver equivalent, but the previous ones were much larger. So we're going to be doing an update to that resource, and I think the numbers are looking quite good, and we're going to be quite excited for that.
Do you still need any permits, or are you guys good to go right out of the gate?
It's fully permitted.
Good to go.
Okay. Also, like exploration-wise, when you said on the eastern portion, that's fully permitted, meaning for exploration, you don't need any drill permits, things like that. That could hold up the operation a little bit.
Actually, First Majestic did a environmental impact statement and got what they call an MIA in Mexico over one area near that kind of is central to several of the targets that we have. They had envisioned that as a second production center, or third production center actually over there. And so we've got that area to work in. But no, we're pretty much set on permits everywhere.
No, fantastic.
It's going to be a lot of excitement, I think.
No, it sounds like it. And it's, the stock has been halted for so long. I'm sure the existing shareholders are excited to see you come back as well. So I think excitement has been building, and now it's time to deliver, guys.
Yeah, no, I think the timing is good. Obviously, silver prices have kind of rallied here over the last little while. We have a bunch of news flow as well. We haven't stopped working. That's one thing to keep in mind. We were busy with our other two projects, both in the state of Nayarit, Tepic and La Tigra. So we were drilling there, just getting those results coming in. We've done a bunch of underground work and through some of the historic mines. So there's going to be a pretty steady flow of news moving forward. And then we'll be announcing progress at La Guitarra, and then we'll be kind of formalizing and finalizing a production plan over the next few months. So I think the resource will be quite exciting, and then there will be lots of news kind of come from there.
Fantastic. No, exciting times ahead. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here on Soar Financially. Thanks for running us through this. Thanks for showing us the video. I think that was pretty much a world exclusive so far.
Yeah, it's the only one.
So far, right? Fantastic. I really appreciate it. It's good to seeing everybody again. Alex, Greg, good to see you guys again. We've known each other for a long time in the sector, so it's good to see you guys again. And we'll be back, of course, with lots more. We'll get some more updates from Sierra as well. I hope you liked the conversation. I thought it was really informative. The company has been halted for, what is it now, 10, 11 months. They'll be coming back to trade any day now. And we're really looking forward to seeing what they're doing with the La Guitarra project. As you heard from Alex and Greg, lots of information, lots of news pending as well, because there is lots to talk about now from La Guitarra, but also the other two projects. So keep an eye on it. I definitely will as well. And if you have any questions, post them in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button. I think it's that square box right there. So really appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with lots more.